Give them a shot to do what?
We are on the road to WrestleMania. What is going on? It is Jeff Martin alongside the trendsetter Brian Berger. So glad he could join me this time because we got a friend to the show joining us. And man, what a difference a year makes. Roheezy of the Remix Rumble. We're going to get to him in just a second. Before we do, let's talk about the show. Follow us on all our social media platforms at High Spot Podcast. And make sure you like and subscribe and follow us on the Give a Shot Network, HSP. If you can't watch, just listen to us on all podcast platforms. And we are, like I said, on that road to WrestleMania. And we're going to talk to Roheezy of the Remix Rumble. He's got a big time show for you, WrestleMania week. Actually, actually right after WrestleMania Night One, we're going to have him on. Roheezy joins us. Roheezy, what's up, brother? We talked to you last year. Big show in Philly. We were part of that. We witnessed it. We saw you do your thing. And now a year later, you're going to be in Vegas, Sin City for WrestleMania after Night One with Mark Henry. We'll get into detail about that. But first and foremost, dude, how are you doing today?
I'm great, man. Thank you guys for having me on your platform once again. My chair fucked up there, but we're good. Can I swear? I can't remember.
Oh, yeah, you can. Of course. No filter.
Yeah, man. It's great to be on here again, Jeff, Brian. Last year, I feel like when we chatted last year for the first time, we were just getting this off the ground, and you guys were one of the first, if not the first, to reach out to us from a media and podcast standpoint. So really appreciated that. And, you guys came out to the Philly show. So it's great to see, you guys continuing to do your thing. And we're excited. We got our wrestling nightclub after party for Night One of Mania with Mark Henry this year. So we're pumped, and we're just excited to see, like you said, that, when you see progress happen after a year, that's all you can ask for.
Hey, you talk about progress, though. Can you just talk about when you first started organizing everything, the chaos that comes along with doing that? Is it the same thing? Are you now kind of, since you did the first one, now you know what to expect going into this one?
Yeah, I feel like you're kind of adding to your Rolodex, as a promoter, as an organizer with events. You start to learn more and more. You go to different cities. You start to see how crowds do or don't interact with certain segments or songs or whatnot. And there's always going to be a level of unpredictability, right? That's the beauty of show business, that you're going to have to approach this with. But ultimately, I do think if I were to think about the Philly show last year and I were to think about everything we went into that Philly show with, I think we're going to have at least a 5 times better show this year, because I'm confident in our ability to put on a great show. But I've also learned a lot, right, from a logistical business standpoint, but then also just from putting on a great show. We've been all over the country at this point. So I'm excited to kind of apply a lot of those learnings and bring it to Sin City.
You get to wear a lot of hats doing this, because not only are you on stage, but basically you and a couple of people are just doing all this thing yourselves. So what are some maybe things that you've learned, maybe something that you're like, okay, I'm not going to do this again? Or what did you find that was probably the hardest thing in Philly that you're like, oh, damn, man, I can't make this mistake again? So what did you learn from it?
It's a good question. Let me think on that, because there's a few learnings. I think it's the flow of the night, So when I don't know if we talked before our first Toronto show or after, but anyway, after the first show we ever did, which was in Toronto, I immediately learned, I told you that I started this inspired by my homie who does anime raves. And at his events, he does anime remixes, EDM remixes, whatever. It's actually probably 40% anime music and 60% regular music mashed up. So I followed that blueprint for our first show ever, which was in January of 2024. And I realized immediately that the first learning was wow, no. Wrestling fans want 80% wrestling music, maybe 20% everything else. And with everything else, you still have to mix it in a way that kind of makes sense, right? And so for me, definitely learning that flow and being able to go to every city and being able to not just bring the same experience to every city, because every city is different, right? You look at Philly, there's a deep cultural essence of ECW was born there, right? So when you play certain songs or you tee up certain stories and things like that, they're going to respond to it in a very different way than LA, for example, right? LA might respond to a gin and juice Rikishi mix very differently on the West Coast than someone does on the East Coast. And so I think it's very similar to like Between the Ropes with wrestlers cutting promos and everything. You have to know how to adapt to each crowd. And so I think we have a good grip on now at this point, like when we're going to different parts of the country, what are people going to and not going to react to? And how can we build an experience where for that person that comes in the door at 9 p.m. and leaves at 2 a.m., can they feel like every single hour was different? Or if it feels like it's more of the same and they could have just walked in for an hour and left, then we're not doing our job. We want them to experience the whole thing.
And the funny thing is too, like you've discussed Wally Mania, and that probably was a inspiration. And we talked after you did the Toronto show because we were like, holy crap. And we saw your social media, and I was like, Trendsetter, we gotta talk to these guys because you are doing something, because Wally Mania is doing their thing and you're doing your own other thing. And it's good to branch out. It's good to give the wrestling fan options for that night. There's so many things going on. So it's good to have, again, the Trendsetter. My favorite saying that he says is you got to have your Baskin Robbins, your different flavors, right? So this to me has caught on. What's the feedback? So you've learned a few things. What's the feedback that you've gotten? You said it was about, more wrestling music. You cut that other music out. What's the other feedback that you heard from the fans? What more do they think that they're going to see here in Vegas?
A lot of the times the fans don't actually know what they want, which is interesting, but they'll communicate when there is a gap. And it's on you as someone who's coming in and being an innovator in the space to be able to figure out, okay, like I don't know what the solution is, but I know what the problem is. And I need to build the solution to get from A to Z, right? And so a lot of that sometimes comes down to fans won't ever vocalize that, like, let's say you play a really good theme song, but there's only really, like, every theme song has a different mileage, right? You can't just be playing, for example, like some songs, I won't give any examples because I don't want to rub anyone the wrong way, obviously, but some songs are really good for the first 10 seconds because, wrestling music, you hear those first 2 seconds where it's like the glass shatter or the it's tippy time or if you smell, whatever it is. But then you have to kind of acknowledge, you have to have crowd IQ to know, oh, the mileage of this song is 40 seconds. But maybe Cult of Personality, the mileage of that song is 2 minutes. So you got to understand, like, yeah, the initial reaction might be great, but it's on you as a DJ, as a host, as an MC to be able to know when to kind of like do that. And again, the fans won't necessarily tell you that by saying this song was too long, but they'll tell you that through their body language. You might see someone yawning. You might see someone go to the bar to get a drink because it's time for a break. You kind of have to like cue into all of those things. Other than that, I think, let me think, like what else? I think like experience as well. I think the feedback we've gotten is that wrestling fans are so story driven that this isn't just a DJ night. And that's where I'm trying to take it as the host of this year, especially, is I'm trying to make people realize we are trying to revolutionize wrestling nightlife, which is a super niche thing, but it's something that we're trying to bring to the forefront of culture, and especially this culture of, us as like hardcore wrestling fans, where it's not just about this is a dance themed night with wrestling music. Anyone can do that. Anyone can hire a DJ and throw on a bunch of wrestling music and, have fans sing along to like certain songs and other songs they won't sing along to, whatever. We're trying to really build out an experience. And I think you guys have experienced some version of that when you came to the Philly show last year, where obviously there's crowd interaction and things like that. But this year, without giving away too much, we're trying to add more and more layers here in order to really make it feel like the crowd is a part of the experience. Just like they are with the wrestling event. They don't go to a WWE PLE and just expect between the ropes action. They're expecting storylines. They're expecting things to get further along. And so that's another piece of feedback that we're implementing this year, is like making it more experiential from a multifaceted standpoint there, to add to more than just the music.
All right, Jensen, before you ask your question here, I just want to tell you where you can find Remix Rumble, all right? So, guys, follow Remix Rumble on their Instagram, right? At Remix Rumble on Instagram. There's a link tree there. There's still a few tickets available. This thing is going to sell out.
Very new.
Philly,
It's technically sold out, but we basically had a couple people who might not be able to make it to guest list. So we have very last chance tickets available. It might be sold out by the time this comes out. But if not, you can go to the Instagram or go to wrestlingnightclub.com and you'll be able to check to see if there's still tickets.
Right. So the showbiz term for that, Roheezy, is that production has moved some seating over, and that they have made maybe some few spaces available. So we'll go with that. So go on the link tree and go to Remix Rumble and get the tickets. This will be out this week. So, cross your fingers that you can. But it'll be April 19th at 9 p.m. That is Pacific time. Mark Henry rejoins Roheezy once again as a special guest DJ. It is 4500 Sunset Road, number 42, Henderson, Nevada, the Moonlight Lounge. Guys, go honestly, because this is a must do, because we've done it in Philly. It was tremendous, and obviously it just gets bigger and better every single year. Now, Trendsetter, sorry for the interruption, but had to get the promo here for him, because they deserve the plug here.
Well, that's a first. Jeff's ever apologized for interrupting me too. So of course I had to be having a special guest on for us.
I'm here.
So, listen, you're here definitely, because you'll never do that in real life. But we talked about it being a year since we last spoke, right?
Yeah,
a lot of things have changed for the good, because again, we always want to evolve. So when we looked at WrestleMania last year, it was all about finishing the story, Cody, Roman, right? And you see how characters evolve in WWE or in pro wrestling too, as they lead to an event like this. You as a performer, seeing stuff you've done before, which is the reason why we wanted you to have on the show the first time. We're promoting the WrestleMania event in Philly. Now, how would you say from a performer standpoint, have you evolved from last year to this one now for the show that's going to be there in Las Vegas?
You talking about Remix Rumble or WrestleMania?
Remix Rumble.
Yeah,
performer with your and outside projects as well, because you've grown as well too with your outside projects as well. You had a very good year last year too, towards the tail end of it. So just the evolution, just as a performer in general from last year, early last year.
You know what it is? It's like I've seen. I've talked to Mark about this actually, because as we've talked to Mark about, like, he's been learning DJing and all these things, we've been kind of like trading game back and forth, right? I've watched some of his interviews, and it's interesting seeing wrestlers go from, even like if you watch Kurt Angle's interviews, you'll watch this transition of like when he first joined WWE, he goes, I was a really good amateur wrestler. I was a really good technical wrestler, but I had to learn a lot about psychology, and I had to learn a lot about the intangibles that make someone a really great professional wrestler, someone you can actually sell in the ring. And I've noticed a lot of parallels in terms of my performance journey, where initially when I started this thing, it was really, like I said, about the party. It was about, how am I transitioning from song to song? What songs am I choosing? And those are important. Those are being technically proficient is incredibly important in both music and in wrestling. However, when you really start to go that extra mile, and like I said, anyone can come in and be like, this is the playlist. We're going to bring this to Australia and just do this. And anyone can do that, right? Anyone watching this can go and do that and make like a wrestling themed like event like that. But what the difference is when you think about, like, Mark Henry did this interview about like what he learned from The Undertaker. The Undertaker taught him about space. When I hit you down and you're in the corner of that ring, don't immediately get back up and get back to me. Leave some space. Let the crowd breathe. Let them really, take it in. And so for me, it's a lot of the same, where it's not just about the fanciest, flashiest transitions from a DJ standpoint. It's not just about cutting a promo on stage. It's about the holistic picture of that. And it's really about thinking about minute 0 all the way to minute, I don't know what 60 times 5 hours is, but that's minute 300. It's like, it's planning out every single minute, but knowing that you will also have to adjust those based on crowd feedback. So it's like loosely held, but strongly planned. And that's what I didn't have in Philly last year. In Philly last year, it was like, all right, like I kind of have a general idea. I'm just going to feel the crowd. And for the most part, like, it was great. Like that was a great crowd. It was amazing. But now looking forward, like, I just know like what we're capable of and how we can really meticulously plan this out to give people an experience where they go home and they're like, damn, that wasn't just a wrestling theme party. That was an experience that I want to come back to. If I'm in LA and they're doing one in LA, I want to come back and do the LA show too, or Toronto, or whatever it is.
Listen, if you made it in Philly, then everything should be a piece of cake after that, because they will tell you exactly how they feel. So if you got more positive than negative, then you're good.
Listen, if you make it with those sore losers,
well, I mean, I wouldn't call them sore with the Super Bowl, and
I mean, that's because they won. I mean,
yeah. Oh, yeah.
I mean, you should see how it's like when they lose.
Oh, trust me, we're
You saw how they reacted when they won the Super Bowl, the Philly fans there. So like, just imagine what they're like when they lose.
look
So.
at the Phillies too.
Fair, listen, to be fair, it's no shot at Philly. I'm equally skeptical of every city. Okay, this is not equal skepticism. Yeah.
You have a great tag team partner. You couldn't ask for a better tag team partner than Mark Henry. I had found out that he was learning on the fly with you guys about DJing. So he had this DJ inside him that wanted to come out, and you guys were able to give him that platform. How's it been working with Mark? And obviously, like at first, he had to be nervous to do this in front of the crowd, whatever. And now he's DJing in London and doing all these things. And now you've kind of brought this DJ out of him that wanted to be unleashed, right? And so obviously, the good thing about that is that you've got a W Hall of Famer who that Rolodex is obviously a long list one. And obviously this year, Sin City, Las Vegas, there's going to be a lot of people that are going to come on board. So before we talk about if we can expect surprises, how's it like working with Mark? And has he surprised you picking up the DJ game so fast?
Yeah, man, Mark's great. Like, he reached out to us. His team reached out to us, like I said, like last January or February, something like that. And it's like, he's really interested in this. And we gave him kind of a blueprint to be able to pursue it and like get started with it and like learn. And he's been doing a lot of work to like learn and get better. And one thing I really respect about Mark is his ability to respect the craft and understand that when he's entering a craft, there are nuances to it. Just like you have to learn about wrestling from scratch, you got to learn about DJing from scratch. And so, no pun intended. So, so it's been great. He's like really great to work with. We talk all the time, and he's always super open to feedback and implementing it. And, I tell him, Mark, this is our game. You're coming into our game. You're a legend in the ring. You're a WWE Hall of Famer. But when you step on this stage, you will respect the stage. And he has respected the stage. But what that also means is the relationship him and I have is we both have an expectation of each other, where when he returns to the stage, just like we talked about last year was Philly. And we got to look back and be like, hey, we've learned so much to level up. We can't get complacent. And so it's one thing, we're in Vegas. Vegas has all the bright lights. Vegas is spoiled. If you really want to think about it, name a single major artist that doesn't go to Las Vegas and plans a concert there. They're not like these European crowds where they're waiting for these opportunities. No. They're like, they got WrestleMania. They're probably like, oh yeah, of course we're gonna get WrestleMania. We're Las Vegas, right? Yeah. So that crowd expects a certain level, right? But what I told him is when we hit that stage, we really have to come with it and show that we've improved, just like he did in the ring year over year, where he learned something new and he implemented it. We're going to keep raising the bar. We're going to keep raising the bar, especially if he is being a DJ. It's about perfecting this craft just as much as he perfected that craft in the ring. And so we have that open conversation all the time, and he's on the same page with that, which I really appreciate. And we're able to kind of have that candid discussion. He thinks, I've told him this about Vegas, the bright lights and, everything. He's like, nah, man, I think they're going to be great. Me personally, I'd like to believe that Vegas could possibly be our best crowd. Maybe. I don't know. We've been all over the country, some cities have been better than others. I'm not going to name names here, but what I will say is I'm always chasing that 10 out of 10 crowd. I don't think I've hit that 10 out of 10 crowd. And if you were to ask me, do I think Las Vegas is going to be the 10 out of 10 crowd? I don't know. We'll see.
All right, Vegas, it's on you guys. Make it a 10 out of 10. How about the Rolodex, though? Are you expecting, can you right now just say, hey, listen, expect it coming up on the 19th of April?
We're working on some stuff, I think it's always, last year, a lot of what you guys saw happen on stage, I'll be honest with you, I didn't even know was going to happen. Like, for real, I didn't until it happened. I was like, oh, shit, that dude's here. I didn't know Tajiri was here. I genuinely did not know until he was on stage. And I was like, holy shit, what? So if I don't know, you guys definitely don't know. So a lot, will happen the day of. We are planning some surprises, but you never know it's such a busy weekend. People's travel schedules like change in and out. I'd say expect the unexpected. but taper your expectations as well. We'll have, and I'll pause there. It depends. It depends. I don't know, because I'm not trying to give Vegas surprises if they don't deserve it at the end of the day. So
Hey,
we'll
listen,
see how
you
the
gotta be
crowd
loud.
goes.
You gotta be loud. So as soon as you get in there, man, if you want if you want to be at 10 out of 10, and you want to change Roheezy's mind, guys, let's be honest with you. He's not giving you the benefit of the doubt here. So he wants to see your work. So 10 out of 10 Vegas, and you're gonna get
Fair,
the very
right? Am I being unfair, Jeff? Am I
No.
being unfair?
No, dude, you gotta demand these things from the fans, man. They get complacent. They just think that just because they're there, they deserve the best show. And no, they got to work for it. So make the fans.
We get it. You can spend $600 for a 500 level seat at WrestleMania Night One and just sit there and clap your hands. But when you show up to Remix Rumble, you can't sit there and clap your hands. You got to hear the decibel meter break. That's it.
Yeah.
It's definitely true there. It's like, listen, set high expectations for yourself. If you're expecting the best right now, and you don't want spoiled fans being, I can't wait to see where we're going to get here. No, well, listen, expectations might be there. Surprises might be there, but expect one thing definitely going to happen there. You're going to have a good time. So that's one thing. It's definitely going to happen there. It's so funny we talk about, WrestleMania weekend. It's such an exciting time. It's like, for me, it's my Christmas. I just love the energy. Every crowd, as much as I hate Philly, and I'll admit it here, I just hate Philly. To be there in that atmosphere.
Can you remind me? I remember.
Jersey.
Okay, cool.
Jersey,
I get it. You're not. Is it South Jersey that identifies with Philly, or is it North Jersey?
South Jersey. North is New York, so they're more like New York, but South Jersey, it's got those. It's been in, it's always been infested by Phillies fans.
Yeah, you guys are the real. Like, you guys are the real part of Jersey, right?
The real, exactly.
Real part of Jersey, real part of just fans in general. New York, they can be obnoxious fans as well too, but Phillies are just.
You know what South Jersey's like? It's like the Canadians who are like, yeah, let's be the 51st state of America. Fuck no. All right, I'm Canadian. I relate. I get it. Don't worry.
Yeah, nobody relates to Southern Jersey very much. They don't have an identity, but it's so cool in terms of just the atmosphere. Is always so cool to be around that avenue. You talk about wrestling fans. To me, Jeff and I have talked about it time and time again with people we've had on the show, and just discussing in general during the show, that I think they're fans like no other. I think they're just so diehard loyal to a fault at sometimes, but also just that loyalty in terms of just standing behind the group of people or the fan base they want to be, or the wrestler they want to stand by, right? So it's a great atmosphere to be around. For me, what I always enjoy watching it is, for me and Jeff, our itinerary when we go to events like this is just, it's crazy. And then I think in my head, I can only imagine what it's like for the performers, like their routines and what they have to do to get ready. So I'm curious for you, when you've been in that atmosphere now for WrestleMania in Philadelphia, right?
Yeah.
What kind of things do you do to get yourself ready and prepared for you? I mean, you'll see people in the back, I'm not going to eat before my match, or I'm getting warmed up, I'm getting loosened up. What kind of mental or physical things do you do to get yourself mentally focused for that night? Because I can only imagine there's a lot of, I wouldn't say nerves, because I feel like you're very confident you go out there, but maybe anxiety that builds up. How do you focus into that?
Yeah.
As you approach the showtime.
A lot of it mirrors what I do for my rap shows. I'm blessed enough to have, and obviously it's a different context, like Beyonce training for a tour is very different than Cody Rhodes training for a Europe tour or whatever, but there's serious regiment when it comes to both. And so for me, I think for me the biggest thing is definitely cardio. Whether it's again a rap tour that I'm doing or Remix Rumble, cardio is the biggest thing, because especially if you're going to be on stage for that long, you would be surprised how much just jumping for 4 to 5 hours will do to you. Also you get into your 30s, your lower back is very important. So making sure mobility is on point, So for me, cardio and mobility, I'm working on that, at least a month and a half leading up to the show, every day or 5 days a week, trying to. And I think in terms of I have my routines or my, things I do and don't prefer. I think the difference is a Remix Rumble, I'm not rapping on stage. So it's a lot more I get breaks in between songs. Whereas for a rap show, it might be just rapping for an hour straight. Whereas this is I'm going for 5 hours, which is 5 times longer, but I'm emceeing in between songs, which is very different. But yeah, same thing. I try not to eat anything crazy. I can really only have a vegetable tray. It's this weird psychological thing, man. If I have pizza or a burger before a show, it just feels wrong. That's an after the show thing for me. You know, CM Punk, I get the donut thing. I get the
pastry.
donut
You gotta have a pastry afterwards to enjoy
He
it.
has a pastry, yeah.
To enjoy your work, to enjoy the painting on the canvas that you've.
100%.
Are you superstitious to a degree? Are there certain rituals you have to do before the show?
Absolutely, definitely. Like I say my affirmations for sure. I say what I'm grateful for. For me, it's like always, every moment I have to be able to grace a stage and be able to be in front of those many fans where I have a relationship with them, regardless of whether that relationship is positive or negative. It's like there's a certain level of gratitude that I have to personally exercise for myself in order to acknowledge that, like, I deserve to be there, but also I'm grateful to be there. You know what I mean? It's a privilege at the same time. And so definitely have my superstitions from that standpoint. Cold showers, you know, I don't know, psychologically that really helps as well, so that I'm not like slacking. I hate being complacent. I've had maybe one show where I was complacent and I hated it. I look back at myself after I looked in the mirror. I'm like, I can't recognize that man, you know, whereas like, wow, you really got, you got a little too full of yourself, not full of myself in terms of cockiness, just like in terms of like, oh, I figured it out. I don't need to do the routine this time. Bullshit. Like, you got to do it every time because it changes every time, and you have to earn the crowd's attention every single time. You don't just get to walk in and demand it, regardless of how far you come.
Oh, that's great. Complacency, kills you sometimes. You know, you just become so used to one thing, and then you just get your eye off the ball. And I wanted to ask you too, like, so when you do a show, like for example, like the one in Philly, is it all of a sudden like what's next, or did you get a chance to take the time and be like, oh man, what did I just accomplished something big right here? So like, what was that feeling after the show was over?
Oh, that's a great point. Specifically for Philly, I think at the time that was the biggest crowd I'd ever done. So that was definitely a couple days, and WrestleMania was right after because it was Thursday last year. It wasn't this year. We're doing it on a Saturday, but last year was Thursday, so I had a couple days to like wind down, go to WrestleMania, enjoy myself. You know what I mean? So I had some reflection time, but I do think like this year, now that I'm kind of in the thick of it, I'm already thinking about. Hopefully I can say this. I'm already thinking about like St. Louis and Backlash, right?
All
and
right.
doing something there. And I'm hoping we can, it's a very last minute show, but I'm hoping we can lock down the venue for that. I'm already thinking about like June, July, August. You know, you guys are near New York. SummerSlam's coming to New York.
I had that conversation.
New Jersey. My bad.
No, I had that conversation about spoiler. I did have that conversation with him about, hey, if that's something that is on the table, we definitely would love to do something with him. Putting it right there right now, HSP would love to do something because it was something that we saw that the talent was there and there was a calling for it, and you did it. And now not only are you doing it because, let's be honest, Wally Mania is the OG with this, but what you've done is that you've taken that and now you've done it to other PLEs because they don't go to the other ones. They don't do SummerSlams. They don't do Backlash, you mentioned. They don't do Toronto. So what you're doing is you're taking what they've, and you're just making it bigger. And that's, I think.
And I will say Wale Mania, definitely the blueprint when it comes to music and wrestling, like the intersection of those two things. I think Wale has a very unique brand, and he can do things, quite frankly, that others can't, including me, right? Like Wale is tapped in. He's a legend at the end of the day, and especially in the hip hop space. So Wale can bring like battle rappers on stage. He can have like different facets of the culture come in. And so Wale Mania, I'm so glad that we are doing like our party on a different night than Wale Mania this year, because number one, I didn't intentionally book it like last year to compete with them at all. I'm glad that we both had successful events, but that wasn't my MO at all. It was just, I was an idiot and I did it without knowing, you know what I mean? I'll be honest. I'll own it. I hadn't been to a WrestleMania week before that, so I didn't realize Wale Mania is always on the Thursday. You know what I mean? It is what it is. And this year I wanted to like respect that space for them because they're amazing. They're a staple for WrestleMania, and they do something that no other event does, right?
It's good though. But think about this though, Roheezy. You had on the same night. And you could have been like, oh, crap, I didn't know about this, whatever. And then you could have been it could have been empty because everyone was over there. I didn't know about it. But you packed the house. So there is a confidence. Like, oh, I can't get to Wally Mania. Okay, we're going to remix Strowman. Not that you're the AEW, whatever, but that, like, hey, I can go someplace else and get this crossover of hip hop and all this.
And that's what I was leading up to, is like, it's a different experience as well. Cause I think they do a lot of, I think for their experience, a lot of it is the VIP experience, right? Like getting into the VIP section, meeting the wrestlers. They have a lot of wrestlers there. They have a lot of FaceTime. They have a lot of experiential things. Like last year, I think Samantha Irving was playing the flute there and singing, right? Like their experience is very different. Ours is much more like, I don't want to, I'm not saying this in like a shady way at all, because Kazim also, who runs Wale Mania, is so talented. I just mean this in that like the experiences are different, and I think he would agree as well. Ours is much more wrestling theme songs and DJing wrestling theme songs and mashing them up, whereas I think that's one aspect of what Wale Mania does, but in their 4-hour experience, they do other things as well. You know what I'm saying? So for us, like, we're trying to make sure we bring that like wrestling nightclub experience and like adding the experiential factors on top of that to really bring what we're bringing to the market. And like you said, doing that for multiple PLEs as well, outside of WrestleMania.
Listen, variety has never been a bad thing. I think it's just best. It grows the industry and just grows more attraction. So I'm sure a lot of people are going to be compared to Wale Mania, but I'm like, hey, listen, that's, like you said, a blueprint where like, hey, if other people are going to be successful in that mold and advance that blueprint to make it their own, I think that's what you're doing right there. And you're doing a great job. That's why it's like these other promotions like AEW, TNA, MLW, New Japan. I think it's just the more variety there is, the better it is for everybody. You're
not oversaturating the market. Let's just be honest with that. There is a calling for this, and you guys are the top 2 right now. So obviously there is, in my opinion, no oversaturation. You can't oversaturate wrestling. Look how much wrestling there is out there. You can't oversaturate this market, in my opinion.
As long as you're doing something different. I think at the end of the day, as long as you're approaching what you're bringing to the space in a different way, where it's like, oh shit, I genuinely feel like this need is not being filled. You know what I mean? I think that's the respect you got to bring to it, where it's like, if you're doing an event or whatever, like, just think about the little factors that make it different. And I think Wale Mania has done that. Like, they've done an incredible job of that. And I think we're also doing that. So I think as long as you're keeping that in mind in terms of being able to differentiate yourself and bring something different to the table, I think it's always 100% always a good thing.
Listen, something Jeff and I spoke about leading up to this interview, and just because, again, we're breaking down the road to WrestleMania that we're on right now. We've been talking about it, Jeff and I. Does it feel like it's WrestleMania? Does it feel like it's WrestleMania season? As we're approaching now, we saw all the storylines were leading up to WrestleMania 40 and how the excitement was in the air in Philadelphia, despite how smelly it is in Philly. But hey, stop me when I'm telling lies. Stop me. I'll do a CM Punk.
Cheesesteaks, man.
Stop me.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But is the buildup there for you too? You've been watching the product. Is the buildup, is the feel there for you as a fan? Wow, we're getting close to 2 weeks now. As Repose is out, it's going to be less than 2 weeks before WrestleMania. Does it feel like that buildup like last year?
Yes, the buildup is there. It's different than last year, though, obviously. I think that's the one thing we all got to keep in mind is like last year is phenomenal. I'm not saying this year isn't. But I think the buildup this year feels a lot more centered around 2 to 3 main stories that I think they're properly building up. And then there's some others that I think could use some work, right? But at the end of the day, those 2 or 3 stories are pretty fucking monumental, like enough to probably carry an entire night's worth of wrestling, is what I'll say, right? Because listen, I had the same reaction where I was super happy Jay won the Royal Rumble, but then I was also like, oh, he just lost to Gunther like 2 weeks before that. How did they play the story out? And then also what's going to happen to Cena? And then I was there live at Elimination Chamber for the heel turn. And I was like, wow, did not see that coming. They are playing the long-term angle on this very well. And that's not, now I'm okay with waiting another year for Rock and Roman because like this is monumental enough that I'm cool with it. So, I understand people's criticisms, and I think there are valid criticisms to the buildup of this WrestleMania. At the same time, I think the highs are very high, in my opinion.
You were there. I forgot you were there for the Cena heel turn. I remember you posting that, and you were like, I can't believe I was there for such a
last minute ticket buy too, man. I think like 3 hours before the event, I was like, they're in Toronto. What am I doing, bro?
Yeah.
Like, I was like, I'm saving money, but it's like, this is not the time to save money, man. No. I gotta,
Gotta enjoy yourself, of course.
And it was amazing because you know what's crazy. Oh, sorry.
No.
It was amazing because I was like, I witnessed Cody finishing the story in Philly last year. I was like, wow, it's like when you experience a moment like that, you're almost like, I'm okay with even missing like events for a while because I experienced something so monumental. I could watch it from my TV. But when they were in Toronto, I was like, oh man, should I go? Because tickets are really expensive and not all that. But I was like, no, man, like this is my hometown. Like, when am I gonna when are we gonna have another show this big?
Yeah.
Like, again, we don't know, right? Sometimes it takes like 5-6 years for that to happen again. So I just bought it, and like literally within 5 minutes of walking in, you know who I see on the side? I see freaking Zach Call from Downstate, who's like sings Cody Rhodes song.
Yeah,
I'm like, Zach, what the hell? And we just like chopped it up and we talked. I'm like, bro, like, what was I doing? I'm like, I wasn't going to come here, and like, this is the place where I get to see like my friends that I haven't seen for a while, and like great people who are, that have done great things. So yeah, instantly I was like, okay, it's worth it.
Yeah, I mean, you know why? Because if you had not attended it and said, I'm going to save some money, you wouldn't have been part of such an historical event. You would have networked and met some people you never would have met. Just for saving a few dollars. It wasn't worth it. It was worth the price of admission.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Obviously, Downstate was they were there at Philly. They were in Philly for your show, so
yes, they
were. To catch up with people, and you wouldn't have, you just stayed home and be like, wouldn't have caught up on old times.
Exactly.
So listen, we could not finish this without congratulating you on like your personal stuff because of your, you do your other stuff too, and you can follow him at Roheezy Raps for his personal Instagram, and you're doing great things there. So, Bronny, are you a Lakers fan?
I'm not gonna lie, man. I'm a Toronto Raptors fan.
Okay.
But I came up with that line, which was, all my life I want to date a baddie, call her Bronny James. She want to play with daddy, and I was like, I got to do the song. I got to do the song. But I actually flew out to LA to shoot the video for that song because my homie Abby was in town. Actually, I was there for the Remix Rumble in Los Angeles, and then we happened to shoot a video there too. So thank you.
So congratulations on that. So obviously the personal and the professional life is obviously doing tremendous, man. And we look forward to, again, Las Vegas Remix Rumble with Mark Henry spinning again on the DJ. Yeah. So again, make sure you
get you guys made a whole new
one for you, dude.
Oh, come on.
If you want that, we'll send it to you. But WrestleMania for One After Party, April 19th. It's going to be right after Mania, the first night, 9 p.m. Again, it is at 4500 Sunset Road in number 42, Henderson, Nevada. So make sure you hop on there for a great 5 hours of wrestling music. And guys, from first-hand experience, again, it's not that we've heard word of mouth, whatever. No, we were there in Philly.
And you guys believe from day one.
And we believe from day one.
HSP, first ones.
Yep. So we acknowledge you, Roheezy. You got the acknowledgement from day one. So so definitely go out and check that out. Tickets are, hopefully you go down there. They're still available, but you know what? This thing is gonna sell out in minutes. So again, congratulations, dude. And again, if you're in New York, please let us know, and definitely we'll keep in touch, man. Any news you want to drop, HSP will always be the home here for Remix Rumble, dude.
Nah, man. But if you guys. If you guys have any ideas for special guests, people that the people want to see, blend the worlds of wrestling and music together, I'm always open here. So just shoot us a DM at Remix Rumble on Instagram. If you guys want us to come to your city, shoot us a DM. We don't respond to every DM, but we are listening. We are, we're keeping track of where people want us to come to. People have been asking us to come to New York for a long time, to the point where I think New York is like pissed at me, probably because they think I'm ignoring you, but I'm not. I'm just trying to make the right situation happen. You know what I'm saying? So, any feedback, all of that, we're always open to it. We're trying to be back on the High Spot podcast a year from now, 2 years from now. And every year we want to level up, and we want to be like, damn, you know what I mean? Like, both of us are elevating. So thank you guys again for allowing me to be on your platform. It's always
easy. And again, congratulations, dude. And all the best for WrestleMania in Las Vegas, guys. You've been watching High Spot Podcast. I am Jeff Martin, alongside with the Trendsetter. Roheezy was our guest. We're on the road to WrestleMania. We'll be back this week for a lot more shows. We'll be breaking down NXT, Raw, SmackDown, AEW for you guys. So definitely the wrestling talk never ends, Trendsetter. So now close this show as you do best, Trendsetter. You are the closer, so close us out.
So for Roheezy and the Jersey Rank crew, thank you guys so much for watching this episode. We greatly appreciate it on the road to WrestleMania. Can't wait. It's my Christmas. And remember, we do this for one reason and one reason only. We do this for you, the crew.